All right. Let's move on to week two, eh? Let's go through all the games here, predict who's going to win, provide some best bets, and some start and sit suggestions for fantasy football. Let's start ripping through these with Thursday night football, Buffalo at Miami. I'm actually going to take the Dolphins in this one. I was impressed with how they came back and won that game. This is perfectly set up for them. They're at home. It's going to be hot. If they play, when they play Buffalo later on in the year, I'm definitely taking
Hmm.
Buffalo. Not only will it be colder, but it's in Buffalo. But Miami is not bad at home, especially when it's a little warmer out here. So I'm impressed. I think they will be able to pull this one off. Buffalo's defense looked a little spotty against the Cardinals. I think Tua has another big game through the air. And yeah, it should be an exciting Thursday night football matchup.
Yeah, certainly excited for this one. However, I am going to take Buffalo here. I think in the last time, I guess not the last time, but the first time Buffalo faced Miami last season, they put an absolute beatdown on them. I think it was like 48 to maybe 25 or something crazy like that.
Yeah.
But really good game out of the Bills then. And then I know that the Bills won later on as well. Um, Started off rocky last week. I will definitely give that to the Bills, but they showed me who they were in that second half. They came back, they were ready to play. They just needed to get warmed up a little bit, and I feel confident about picking them heading into the week against Miami here. I mean, I might be a little bit biased because I like Buffalo so much, but it still feels like they're the better team.
If they were to pull this win off, I think it would be the fourth time in a row that they beat the Dolphins, maybe even the fifth. Because
Hmm.
if we go back to the playoffs, not this past year, but the year prior, they beat the Dolphins when the Dolphins were like the 7th seed with Skylar Thompson. That
Yeah.
was a close game. They did, like you said, go into Miami and beat them in that high scoring affair. And then later on, when Miami came up to Buffalo, Miami just fell apart and Buffalo was able to clinch the AFC East with that game. I just don't see them continuing that. Like, I don't see Buffalo go into Miami again early in the season and beat them like
Hmm.
that. I mean, I think it'll still be a good close game, but yeah, I'm really big on Miami this year or this game in particular.
Fair enough.
San Fran at Minnesota. I think Minnesota comes back down to earth here a little bit. San Fran lost to Minnesota last year, and Minnesota is not a team that's going to beat you twice, back to back years. Minnesota is not going to sweep you, in 2 seasons back to back. So I like San Fran here. I think they, probably win a little bit more of a low scoring game.
Yeah, I'm also taking the 49ers here. Not a whole lot to say. Minnesota looked good last week, but they're also facing the Giants. Feel a lot more confident about a team like the 49ers that they were able to put a pounding on a team that we had high hopes for like the Jets. So definitely feels like an easy pick here to me.
Yep, I like that. We're on the same page there. Seattle at New England. I'm going to take the Seahawks here. I was impressed with how they looked. Again, not a great team, but I think the Broncos are well coached. Their defense isn't horrible. And I still don't think New England's going to be good this year. I still think they're going to be one of the worst, if not the worst team in the league. I think that win last week was more about how just unorganized and how frantic the Bengals were. I think that Seattle comes into New England. It's not cold yet. I think they win here.
It's probably the smarter pick. I just figured I'd ride out the Patriots a little bit longer here, see if, they can cover for me last week. Maybe they'll just straight up win here again this week. So, gonna take them against the Seahawks. I personally didn't think they looked all that great against Denver. I mean, they were fine, but like
Yeah,
they didn't feel like great to me. And I know New England's one of the teams that is supposed to be like the worst in the league,
right.
but I mean after beating a team like Cincinnati, maybe there's something else that could show up in a team that I think is a little bit weaker than Seattle.
If New England were to win more games this year, this is one that they need to get here. This is very
Yeah,
winnable here at home against a
you're right.
below average team.
Yeah.
All right, Giants at Washington. Now, I went back and forth with my pick here. I am going to take Washington just because, if I'm going to be wrong for our divisional picks that we made over the summer, the fact that Giants are going to win 8 games, I hope I'm at least right then in our week to week picks. So I'm going to
Right.
take Washington. I did like how Jay and Daniels ran the ball. I think it'll be a close game. I feel like the Giants still have a good shot to win this game and win a fair amount of games this year, but it's kind of like a little semi-emotional hedge. I'm gonna take the Commanders. It is at home for them. And yeah, I think Jay and Daniels might have another solid game.
Yeah, it's certainly possible. He did play quite well last week against the Bucks, and I'm excited to see how he does in week number two. You mentioned that he was like probably the best looking rookie this past
Yeah.
week, and now he's got another chance to shine against a team that's really not looking good here in New York. So, would like to see what he's able to do, and I'm going to take Washington this week as well.
There we go. Chargers at Carolina. I think I took Carolina to win over the summer, but nah, we're done with that. I am going to take the Chargers here. Again, though, like it's not, I wouldn't be so surprised if the Panthers find a way to pull this off. It's their home opener. I don't think their defense is that bad. They might find a way to frazzle the Chargers. Like to beat the Chargers, you just got to take the run game away and see if those receivers are actually good enough to contend. That's the biggest question right now. I mean, they have J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards. I think that's a pretty good rushing attack. Although we
hmm
know that J.K. Dobbins is very injury prone. So we'll see how that plays out throughout the year. But I'm going to take the Chargers to win here. Good start for them. 2 games early in the season that I originally had them losing. So if they were
Yeah.
able to win these, I think they're in really good shape to make a wild card appearance.
Yeah, that would be excellent. I mean, no one in their right mind can take the Panthers after what they saw last week. I mean, that would just be absurd.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
I
no,
mean,
I
you
mean, ugh, it
you
was
got to take
bad.
the Chargers. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. All right. Next up, New Orleans at Dallas. As high as I am on the Saints, playing in Dallas's home opener is never fun.
Yep.
It's not gonna be easy. I think this is a good game. It's a weird time, like it's one of those noon games. I feel like this would have been a good, again, game of the week or a primetime matchup, but of course it just shows the NFL's disbelief in the Saints as well. But
hmm
yeah, I don't think that the Saints, get blown out here, but I think they probably lose by a touchdown or 10 points or so.
Yeah, I'm gonna take Dallas here as well. If New Orleans could pull off a victory here, I think I would really start buying into what you've said about them this
Yeah.
whole offseason because I've doubted you a little bit on it. Um, that would be mighty impressive to me. I think Dallas is going to win this game, though. We know it's really hard to play at home in Dallas, especially for the first game of the
Yeah.
season.
If New Orleans were to pull this game off, then you gotta be careful. I mean, the rest of the
Yeah,
season, like New Orleans could end up being like the 2 seed if they
yeah,
win this game and then
that'd be
continue to play
absurd.
at that level.
Yeah.
So now Green Bay is onto their backup quarterback, Malik Willis. Of course, he was originally drafted by Tennessee, went to Liberty, group of five school, used to be FCS school. I don't buy into Malik Willis. We've seen enough of him at Tennessee. He can run around a little bit, but he's not that good. He's not Lamar Jackson. He's not Anthony Richardson. He's not Jay Daniels. And he can't throw the ball. So I'm taking the Colts here. I think it's a good bet to have him cover and definitely win after what we saw last week. It's a nice kind of almost like regional matchup that you don't get that often. Like if the NFL was redesigned, like if they remapped out the divisions and you
hmm
had like, the Colts, Lions, Bears, and Packers in the division, like you would get this game more often. Like you would think that this
Yeah.
game would happen more often, but it's a nice matchup to see, and I will definitely be taking the Colts.
Yeah, I mean, I'm totally with you. I don't have a lot of confidence in Green Bay's backup, and Colts looked good last week, especially Anthony Richardson. They almost, beat the Texans, who I believe are a strong playoff contender. Um, feels like a pretty easy pick for the Colts.
Yeah, it's a game I originally had them losing, obviously, but
Yeah,
they catch a break here with Love being out.
exactly.
Cleveland at Jacksonville. So this game actually happened last year, and Cleveland beat them up pretty good. I think Trevor Lawrence had 3 turnovers. I think they were probably 3 picks. I think they get him back here. They tag him back. It's at home now. We obviously saw what Cleveland was against Dallas. I don't think that they're able to turn it up against Jacksonville, whose defense looked very much so improved. So I think, Jaguars have a nice bounce back here. I don't think Trevor goes off because I do still like Cleveland's defense, but I think they get the win.
Yep. I'm with you there. I'm also going to take Jacksonville here. Cleveland just looked bad last week, and I don't have a lot of confidence in Deshaun to go put up some points against Jacksonville. So gonna take the Jags this week, man.
Good, 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 good. Jets at Titans. This game could get weird. This feels like one of those like home games for the Titans last year, like where they win against a team that they really shouldn't beat. I think they beat the Chargers. It was either last year or the year before when they were playing at home. It's a game that they shouldn't have won, but I don't feel like the Jets will drop to 0-2. I think they come out strong. I don't know if they cover in this game. I feel like, yeah, I'm going to take them to cover, but this does feel like a better game than it looks like on paper. Although Will Levis played bad against the Bears, although the Bears have a good defense, I think the Jets maybe even have a better one. Just feels like a weird game. I'm going to still take the Jets, though.
Yeah, I'm gonna do the same. I mean, Tennessee, not a good team. The Bears look bad, and they somehow squeaked out a victory. And I know the Jets didn't look great either, but I feel like they've got enough with the talent that they have on the roster. Feels like a lot more talent than Tennessee has on theirs.
Yeah.
So, gonna be taking them.
My thing is like, I don't think Tennessee's offense will make so many stupid mistakes as they did against the Bears, but I also
Hmm.
don't think that the offense they're facing will be as inept as the Bears was. I think that factor,
Agreed.
the magnitude there is larger than the
Yeah.
defensive one. So that's why I will take the Jets. Tampa Bay at Detroit. I'm gonna go a little bold here. 7-point underdogs. I'm gonna take the Bucks to win this game. Let's remember they faced earlier in the season last year. The Lions blew them out. Then they face in the playoffs in Detroit. Bucks keep it pretty close during that game, and they only kind of lose because Baker threw like a weird pick there toward the end of the game.
Hmm.
If the Lions were to win this game, they would go 3-0 against the Bucks in the span of 365 days, which I don't see happening. To go 3-0 against a fellow playoff team, a team that just put up 37 points against Washington, I just don't see it happening. I think Tampa Bay +7 is like one of the best bets on the board. Tampa Bay money line's not a bad bet either. Cleveland or the Lions coming off of an emotional overtime victory. Think they kind of come back down to earth. I mean, they didn't play well, so there's obviously room for improvement there. I don't think Tampa Bay's defense is quite, I don't know. I mean, I think Tampa Bay's defense may be better than the Rams. We need to see a few more reps,
Hmm.
but it's another one of those weird games to me. A game that I like taking the historical trends in the play here. I just don't see the Lions beating this team 3 times within such a short period of time.
Yeah, you make a lot of great points there, and I really love the pick. Like I actually like really love Tampa Bay money line here. I'm still gonna take Detroit, but could totally see it going the other way. Like I really think this is one of the best
Yeah.
games on the board this week, and
Right.
it doesn't feel like it should be a 7 point spread. I mean, that's absurd to me. Um,
Yeah. It's
like
hard not to
they,
take the Lions though after how well, I mean, how
yeah.
they still won even though they did not play great. And
Hmm.
also it's at home. Like they're very fortunate
Right.
to get this game at home.
Yeah, no, that's kind of the motive behind the pick is
Yeah.
like they're at home here. They're gonna want to perform for their fans. So I'm gonna have to take them over Tampa Bay, but man, would not be surprised if Tampa Bay pulled out a dub
Yeah.
here.
Vegas at Baltimore, obviously taking Baltimore. Was a little disappointed with how Vegas came out and played. I don't think they were coached that well in the game. I think there was like a 4th and 1 that they probably should have gone for, but they didn't go for it. Like a very gettable 4th and 1. Doesn't show much belief in the players. And, they have a slew of offensive talent. I mean, with Brock Bowers, Jacoby Myers, obviously Devontae Adams.
Hmm.
So I don't know. I think them covering is not a bad bet. I'm gonna just stay away from this game. Two teams I feel like there's still some unknowns about. So I'm gonna take the Ravens, just call it a day.
Yeah, I'm also taking the Ravens. However, I do kind of like the Ravens to actually cover this. Vegas just looks bad, man. Like they looked really
Yeah.
bad in week one, I thought, and Ravens have a really solid defense, and I feel confident that I mean the Chargers covered -11 last week, and the Ravens I feel are a much better team than
Yeah.
the Chargers,
That's
and they've
very
got a
fair.
lower spread than the Chargers covered. So I I like the Ravens like a lot this week.
No, that's a very good point. Rams at Cardinals. I'm definitely going to take the Rams here. I think they have a nice bounce back win. I think Stafford absolutely tears through the Cardinals. Cardinals defense looked really bad. The amount of points they gave up in such a quick fashion last week to the Bills.
Hmm.
I mean, they were up good. They were up 14 points, like I said, and they just that lead went bye bye real quick. I think they
Yeah.
gave up them 34 points. So yeah, I mean, the fact that they're favored is a little head scratching. It's almost like does Vegas know something we don't? Like it's one of those weird games where it's like you feel like the line should not be where it is, and then Vegas ends up getting it right. Like last year when like the Falcons were favored against the Packers or something. I don't know. It was one of those weird games where it's like, oh, the line doesn't seem right, but you know that Vegas, there's something up. Like the lines, they're that way for a reason.
Yeah, no, I definitely think this is a spooky line here that you're telling me that the Cardinals are favored by one.
I mean, maybe it'll
Um,
swing back, but when I looked at it this morning, they were 1 point favorites.
yeah, I mean the Rams very nearly
They
beat the
still are.
Lions this past week. So
Wow.
like I'm very surprised by that, but
83% of the public is betting on the Cardinals to cover a
no
minus one
way.
point spread, but 69% of the public is betting on Rams money line. How does that make any sense?
That makes no sense whatsoever.
Wow.
What?
That is wild. That's a
Bro,
weird
what is the
game.
public doing? They're just like they're confused.
They're goofing.
That's absurd. Taking the Rams like them more than I like the Cardinals. They're winning this game.
I agree. All right, Cincinnati at KC. I can't take the Bengals after what I saw last
No.
week. I think they've gone 0-2 in like the last two seasons.
Yep.
So, like you said, slow starts. And
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, you get a cupcake game. Okay, Bengals here, face the Patriots. We'll give you a cupcake game. You need to win this one because you're playing the Chiefs next week in Arrowhead. You screw over, you absolutely squander your opportunity to go 1-0, and now you have to face the Chiefs. Okay. And they have
Yeah.
gotten a couple extra days of rest because they played on Thursday. I mean, I could see the Bengals win this game. Don't get me wrong. I want them to win this game. They've, historically had success facing Kansas City relative to other teams in Kansas City, but I just can't do it. I just, they got to earn it from me again.
Yeah. I think I picked Cincinnati when we were doing our schedule picks over the summer. But I just can't justify it after the loss to New England. Like, how can you pick them to go against
No,
the two-time reigning Super Bowl champs here? I don't
right.
think I'll pick Cincinnati to win a game until they get out of their little early season
They're
slump. Like,
slumpy.
yeah, they're slump buster. They need to have one soon.
Yeah.
So maybe it'll be week 3 and then I'll pick them in week 4, but until then, I don't think I can pick the Bengals.
Yeah, I think you'll be picking the Bengals pretty soon because they get the Commanders and the Panthers after this.
I think I'll pick the Commanders against the Bengals, but
Really?
I yeah.
I would
Yeah, but
not.
I
It's Monday Night Football in Cincinnati. I can't do it there. I
hmm,
mean, I know I just said they have to earn it from me,
yeah.
but like
Yeah, same.
this could not be an easier start to a schedule. Obviously, you have the
That's
Chiefs,
true.
but three of your four games are against some of the worst teams in the league. But anywho, Pittsburgh at Denver sounds like the most boring game on the slate. I would love
Agreed.
the under. I think the under's already at like 36 though, so it's tough to kind of flirt with the under there. I liked it much better last week when it was 42 with the Falcons. But yeah, I'm definitely taking Pittsburgh here. Denver did not look. I mean, again, like I said, keeping it within 6 points, scoring 20 points, despite how bad Bo Nix played. Like, is that impressive? I think maybe a little bit. It's at home. Pittsburgh, obviously. I mean, who's going to start a QB? Is it Justin? Is it Russ? I think if it's Russ, I really like Pittsburgh, a little revenge
Hmm.
game. If
Yep.
it's Justin, I don't know, man. I mean, Justin just he's still the same old QB as he was on the Bears. He runs
Yep.
around, not great passing. But we'll
Hmm.
see. I'm gonna just take the Steelers here and probably not touch any spreads or the over under.
Yeah, same. I like Pittsburgh here. Doesn't feel like anything crazy is gonna happen in this game. Um, just feels like another one of those games that Mike Tomlin's gonna be able to coach his team to a win.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I mean, Mike Tomlin's proven, time and time again that he is actually a pretty solid
Yeah,
coach.
yeah,
Maybe not great at developing QBs, but he can win some games.
indeed.
Chicago at Houston Sunday Night Football. I think it's going to be a blowout. I think Houston destroys the Bears. Now, granted, they just had an emotional win on the road at the Colts. But if the Bears play anything like they did last week offensively, they're going to really struggle. And I don't think Houston puts up a ton of points this week. So that's why I really do like the under in this game. I originally had at the over. I need to adjust that
Hmm.
there. Yeah, I love the under in this game because I think both teams have great defenses. And I don't think the Bears are going to be able to score a ton, unless Caleb Williams just goes crazy. So yeah, I love Houston in this game. I think they'll cover, and I think it'll go under 46.
Yeah, I like the pick. I'm taking Houston as well. We got a little hometown rivalry here that we're going to be ripping in prime time, which is pretty
Yeah,
exciting. Um, but yeah, Houston definitely feels like the better team. Chicago looked better last week. I think I might have been encouraged to potentially pick them just because I had a lot of hope in the Bears in the offseason. But just with the way
no,
that they played, you can't do it.
you
So
can't do
definitely
it. No,
Houston.
I mean if Caleb Williams plays anything like he did last week, I mean I know he didn't turn the ball over, but
Yeah,
the Houston defensive front's intimidating. It's
agreed.
going to be, yeah, they're going to get after him. They're going to get after him, and the Bears' offensive line was not good. Atlanta at Philadelphia. So, Kirk Cousins in prime time has always been pretty bad. He's not won much, maybe one game, if any, in prime time. Now he's
Hmm.
on the road in Philadelphia. I believe there was a game, on Minnesota when he played in prime time against the Eagles, in which they lost pretty badly. I think, yeah, last year, I think it was like Monday Night Football they played.
Yeah.
And I believe he actually kept that game decently close toward the end of it, but it was garbage time. Philadelphia was already up big. I'm going to take Philadelphia here again. That being said, I do like Kirk Cousins to put up some better pointage this week. I think he'll have a little bit of a better performance since I don't fully believe in Philadelphia's defense. I think he'll be able to take advantage of some of those corners out there. So I like Philly to win. I like Atlanta to still put up at least 20 points in this game, though.
Wow, it's going to be a high scoring game if that's the case.
Yeah.
I'm also taking Philadelphia here after the way they put up points last week. As long as they don't start off, really rocky, don't turn over the ball, I think that they should be able to easily win this game here against the Falcons. Um, but I don't know, maybe primetime Kirk changes a little bit. Maybe now he's got a new team
Hmm.
and he actually performs well in primetime rather than his previous pitiful performances. But
Well,
Battle of the Birds,
yeah.
I'm taking the Eagles.
He's got to be careful because if he puts up another bad showing on national television like he did last week, they're going to be calling for Michael Penix Jr. to replace him.
That's
And
true.
obviously, that would not be a good look for the Falcons, who just paid him a ton of money.
Yeah,
All right, moving on to our week 2 start and sits. Like I said, I like starting Kirk Cousins. I think this feels like a 24 of 39 passing for 327 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 1 pick.
that's a big game.
Yeah, it's very similar to his game last year against the Eagles. I like starting Austin Eckler this week. I feel like he'll get some more action in the receiving game. We saw Aaron Jones kind of run over the Giants. I think he might be able to do the same. Jerry Jeudy actually had a fluky touchdown last week. I don't think that happens again. Like it may
Yeah.
never happen like in the rest of the season. I don't think Jerry
Agreed.
Jeudy gets much action the rest of the year after seeing how Deshaun played. So I'm gonna sit him against who are they playing again? Oh, yeah, Jacksonville, who actually, yeah, I mean, obviously they gave up a ton of yards to Tyreek and Waddle, but the defense, like I keep saying, looked a little bit improved.
Yeah, no, I like the picks there. This week I'm going to be starting Najee Harris. He got way more carries last week than Jalen Warren, and I think he had 20 rushing attempts. He got like 70 yards off of it, so not half bad, but certainly feels like the workhorse back right now. And they're not facing a very good team. They're only facing Denver. So could see him maybe sneaking in the end zone, but yeah, not expecting very high scoring game. So maybe like one touchdown and like 80 yards is going to be like what I would peg him at for this game.
I like that.
Sorry, forgot about my other one. So I'm going to be sitting Aaron Jones here this week. Uh, don't love his matchup here. So he's got a difficult game here. The Vikings. Oh my God, dude! All right, San Fran. So I was just blanking on it here for a second, but yeah. So the Vikings are facing the 49ers this week, and we know that the 49ers defense is really strong. They shut down running backs. Don't feel like Aaron Jones is going to have a high performing week. Did very well last week. I'm not really expecting that to continue this week against the 49ers.
Yeah, it's tough to run against them. Brees Hall,
Yeah.
was not amazing. He had the fumble obviously as well.
Hmm.
All right, week two best bets. I have a bunch of them for you guys. I was decent last week in the NFL, not great in terms of college football. Maybe it flips its on its head this week. Who knows? Maybe it's more wise to take my college bets and not my NFL bets, or maybe it's still wise to take my NFL bets and not my college bets. I mean, I have no idea at this point. Like I said, Tampa Bay +7. That's one of the best bets on the board. I like Indianapolis -3.5. I'm gonna take the Jets -4. Don't love that one, but I'm going to take it. Giants +2.5, just in case they somehow keep it close and maybe even win. I still want to take some credit, so I'm gonna toss that bet in there, even though I'm taking the Commanders to win. Rams money line at +100. Anytime you can get the Rams in plus money to win against the Cardinals or any team that's gone under 500 the last couple of years, you take that and you run. Houston -6.5. I already talked about that. I like the under in that game as well. Jacksonville -3.5. I think they cover against the lowly Browns. Moving on to college, a lot of action here. All right, Tulane +3 and a
Hmm.
half. I'm big on this one. Who do they play? They play Oklahoma. Yeah. So I love them. They almost beat Kansas State. LSU, South Carolina. Yeah, we'll take the over. I'm a little concerned the weather in this game might not be good, which would then kind of lean under, but we'll leave it at over 50 and a half. Why not? Tulsa +20 and a half against Oklahoma State, who just had an emotional victory in double overtime against Arkansas. So I'll take them. Arizona State plays Texas State on Friday in Texas State, but money line's only -122 to win. Arizona State's looked really good so far, so I'm gonna take them there. Memphis +6.5, -110 against Florida State, who has been so bad to start the year. I almost would like them to win straight up, but if you're gonna give me 6.5, I'll take that. I think Notre Dame has a bounce back week at Purdue. This might be a dangerous bet. Usually I'd be taking Purdue here, but I'm going to take Notre Dame -10. Alabama -15 and a half at Wisconsin. Wisconsin's just, oh my God, they have been dreadful. I think Alabama, even though they have started a little slow, I think they have a good game here. This game's getting bet toward Wisconsin. So if you can get a 13 and a half, oh man, that would just be arousing to all get out. Boston College +16 and a half at Missouri. Like that one. Texas -34 and a half against UT San Antonio. It's a big number, but we saw what they did to Michigan. Oregon State +16 at home against Oregon, who's barely beat their last two opponents. Then Georgia -24 against Kentucky. Tennessee -49 against Kent State. He's probably the worst team in FBS. And Ole Miss -23 and a half against Wake Forest, who just lost to Virginia, another one of the worst teams in the Power Four conferences.
A lot of bets there, dude. You locked in to cook up like 24 bets or however many you have here.
Holy cow. If
Yeah.
I could just hit 13 of them, that's all I can ask for. It's all I want.
I love that. All right, my bets this week. Already talked about a few of them here. Baltimore +9.5 against the Raiders. Really like that one. Tampa Bay +7 is definitely a good bet against Detroit. 49ers -6. Feel like they get a win easily over the Vikings. Kansas City -6 against the Bengals. Actually like that one here. You probably don't necessarily agree with this one, but just with the way
I
the
can get
the
behind that. Yeah.
the Bengals played last week.
Yeah.
Don't love them to cover the spread. Rams money line, we already talked about this. Houston -6.5. Again, we already chatted about it. Like they're gonna pound the Bears. And then the Eagles -6.5 against the Falcons.
Yeah, the only ones here I'm not huge on are Philadelphia. I think coming back from Brazil, a lot of
Hmm.
travel. They do get the
That's
extra days
true.
of rest, but just kind of weird going from, the turf and the environment in Brazil to, just back to normal. And then what was the other one I wasn't huge on here? Kansas City -6. I can get behind San Fran -6. Yeah, I can get behind that. I actually really like San Fran -6. Yeah, Philadelphia -6.5 is the only one that like scares me a little bit.
Sounds good.
All right, fan mail time.
Fan mail time. So my dad sent in his picks for last week. He went 11 and 5, just like me. He missed the Packers, Bengals, Falcons, Browns, and Jets. So he picked all of those teams to win, and of course they did not. He also added in that the Vikings and Giants will be better than we think. The Vikings defense is legit, and the Giants line will be better, making Daniel Jones a better QB. So maybe you're right about the Vikings. However, not sure I agree with the Giants take after week
No,
one. Yeah, the Vikings definitely held the Giants to a few points, but I don't know. Giants did not make do any favors for Daniel Jones because he was still looking pretty rusty.
yeah, I hope
Um,
your dad's right about that. I would love to see the Giants make some improvements.
Yeah, I guess time will tell here. And then we've got our boy Jimmy who sent in his picks as well, and he might be
Huge
the
week.
true sorcerer here because he went
Yeah,
14 and 2, and the only picks that he missed were the Falcons and the Bengals, which I mean those both feel like very
I
reasonable
know the
picks to me.
Bengals
And
one he should have had. He should have
yeah,
had that one.
so the fact that he sniped all the other games is awesome. So if we had the sorcerer's hat, we would be bestowing it upon you, Jimbo, because you definitely deserve
Yeah.
it after
Yeah,
your
he had some.
performance
Yeah,
this
these
week.
are some really great picks because I feel like
Yeah.
to go 14 and 2, to go above 13 correct in a given week, it takes a different level of
Yeah.
sentience because you may have the mindset to pick like if I had the mindset to pick the Giants game correctly and pick the Vikings, then maybe I would
Hmm.
not have that same mindset to then pick the Chargers. So to have that to like click all the way through is
Yeah.
very impressive for week one,
Agreed.
especially.
I was about to say, yeah, especially knowing that this is week one. There's so much
Yeah.
uncertainty in week one. So to snipe 14 games right the first week is wild. So
But I
props
challenge
to
you,
you for that
Jimmy.
one.
I want you to challenge the law of averages here. So try and pick again the next couple of weeks. Submit your picks, and we'll track it for you here.
Yeah, definitely. One more thing to note here. So in my work fantasy league, bro, I got to give a little shout out to the person I was facing here. Put up 175 points in
Holy
a
shit!
14 person league.
My
Okay?
God,
Bro, this is absurd. I lost 175 to 92 here. Let me just
you
run
got
through
blown
this
out.
team real quick. Jalen Hurts with 16, Saquon Barkley with 33, James Conner with 19, AJ Brown with 23, Jalen Waddle with 16, Jawan Johnson with 10, Chris Godwin with 22, Minnesota defense with 21, and Cairo Santos with 13.
Bro just went off, and
I
you were his
know.
victim.
No, it was a girl. It was Liz. Her name was Liz. So
Oh
she just went
shit!
absolutely crazy.
Wow,
Yeah, she went nuts. So good for
I
her.
like that.
Yeah, good for her.
I mean, we're in that 14-person league, and you put up 158 points almost. So, I mean, it's
Yeah.
attainable. It's attainable.
It's attainable, but 175 is just that's a
It's
lot,
girth.
man. It is girth indeed.
All right. I think that's all we have for you guys this week. Thank you, as always, for listening. You have any remaining comments?
No, I'm just excited that we're back in football season and
Yeah.
looking forward to week two.
Yeah. Couldn't agree more. Can't wait for Thursday. Really excited for that game. And yeah, the first one that's back on Amazon. I thought for a second that they were done with that after last
Yeah.
week's game that wasn't on Amazon, but no, yeah, we're back on Amazon. We have to listen to that horrible analyst. I forgot his name, but you guys know who I'm talking about. All right, guys, we'll see you next week. Thanks for watching.